Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2022 Forest River Crusader 335Rlp. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. If you notice right up top, you are pre-wired for a Furrion observation camera. If you're interested in getting hooked up with that, you can contact our parts department and they can get you the quote for that to get set up. You have your spare tire back here. You do have an 1.25 inch receiver, as well as your ladder so you can get up to your roof to check your seals. Inside this back bumper, you're just pulling this cap off, and this is where your sewer hose is located. Once fully extended, it is about 20 feet long. You're just taking note of those two ears there. Those are going to be the same two ears that connect to your sewer outlet. I'll show you that in a minute once we get up there. We just do keep this stored in the back bumper just to try and keep the smell away from the unit as much as possible. Right up from there, you do have your main power supply inlet. You got that threaded collar, so you can really lock that connection down. And then you do have your standard your twist 50 amp end. You're just taking note of this little silver patch here, and these two notches, they do line up. They all line up, and once you line those guys up, you are just pushing in. You got that threaded collar to lock it into place. If you follow that back, you do come to a standard 50 amp plug end. Some campsites don't have 50 amp service. It's not a very common thing. So we do include this 30 amp dog bone adapter. And from there, we also include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using these adapters, you're going down less in power. So you're not going to be running anything like your air conditioner. On the 30 amp, you can run the air conditioner, but on the 15 amp, you will not be running an air conditioner at all. You got your rear landing leg. You do have two fridge service ports. There's not much you have to worry about there. That is just for service. Then you have your low point drains down below here. They are just these two valves. The way those work is, let's say you want to change out your faucet or you're leaving the unit for a while. You don't want the water going stale or stagnant. You open up these valves and it does just drain all the lines inside the unit, hot and cold. To the left of that, you do have your sewer outlet. Just cracking this guy open. It's the same two ears that you found on your sewer outlet. They do just line up with that notch, twisting it into place, locks it in. And right up top, you will see that you have a few valves here. You got two gray tanks, which is going to be filled from your sinks and your showers, so you're going to want to empty those last. And then you do have your black valve right in the middle here, and that is going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, so you are going to want to empty that first. That way you can wash it out, the hose out a little bit with the gray water. Right here, you do have your service port for your hot water here. You do have a 1-inch drain nut right here that will drain the tank completely. Whenever you do first get out to your campsite, you're just going to want to hit that pressure relief valve. There should be a shot of water that comes out of there. We do currently have this tank drained for the customer, so it wouldn't be safe to fire up, but if you would have gotten that shot of water, it would let you know that you're all good to fire up and you're not going to burn anything out by doing so. Just this black cover here, take a note whenever you are running your furnace, this is going to get hot and it is going to blow out hot air. Get inside this compartment, you are just lifting those two handles and opening this up. You do have an auto leveling system right on the door here. You can also access that auto leveling system from inside. The way that works is you do just have auto level. Hitting that button is going to automatically level the trailer. And then you have hitch height and retract all. Hitch height, hitting that button is going to adjust that front jack to push the front of the trailer up so that you can hook up with ease. And then you do have a retract all button, which is going to retract all the feet. Once we get inside, there is more controls I will show you, but from here, that's all you're going to be able to access. Opening up this here is just going to give you access to your little command center. You got your fresh water tank filling that up is going to fill your fresh tank, which your water pump draws off of. And then you do have your city water connection right beside that. So if you're at site with service, you can thread a garden hose in there. It's going to pressurize all your lines without the needing to run your water pump. You do have a little light in here, which is just on its own center push button. And then you do have your battery disconnect switch. Right now, with the way this is turned, the batteries are connected to the unit. Turning it like this is going to disconnect the batteries from the unit, and you can also just pull this right out if you weren't to want anybody to access that. Right down, you do have two cable satellite inlets. You do have a black tank flush as well. The way that works is, let's say you're getting false monitor panel readings, or you're noticing an odor inside the unit, you can just hook up your sewer system, open up that black tank, thread a garden hose into here, turn it on, and it's going to flush out that black tank. Just trying to keep it that little bit cleaner. And then you do have your two winterization valves. With these valves turned to the left here like so, it is a normal operation. Turning them up will bypass the hot water heater with this red one, and turning this one up is gonna turn this into winterization mode. It is just gonna suck out of this hose here, which you can stick into your pail of coolant. And then you do have this nice little floor drain, and you can also run your water lines through here if you were at a full-time site. And then you do just have a little exterior water connection, which you can thread a garden hose connection onto if you want to do so. And you're just taking these two notches, lining them up like so, pushing in, twisting, locks it into place, and you'd be able to turn those knobs on. You do get hot and cold water out of there. And you do always have, if you do it both compartments open, you do have to just close this one first, and this one locks it into place. On this side of the unit, as well as both of the other side of the unit, the same compartment, you do have a propane tank. That would be a 30-pound propane tank. Turning it on is just as simple as opening up this valve. Opens up the flow of propane to the unit. We come to the front here, where you do have your fifth wheel connection, as well as your breakaway switch, your 7-pin lighting switch, and then right up front, you do have a Furrion solar charge plug-in. If you have a portable solar panel, you can plug it in there and it'll charge your batteries. And then you do just have a docking light system, which turns on these nice front blue lights. Turning this light on, also, you can turn on this little light if you're working under here. You can also open up this, which has some storage. And this is also going to be where your battery's housed inside. And this is where your battery's housed. And then you do have this other storage space. Just being mindful, there is some wires around here that you're not going to want to bump anything against. On this side of the unit, again, just on this side, some more storage. As well as there is a light that lights up inside here. You got two USB plugins as well as two GFI protected plugins and another cable satellite outlet. You do have a bottle opener, two awnings, which I will show you how to operate in a minute. And that's going to be it for this side here. To get inside the unit, you are just taking this assist handle, pushing it up, holding it 90 degrees, it'll lock in place. You can open up that door. You do have your stairs, which does have adjustable feet, so you can adjust it to your campsite needs. You got the safety lock on the left, pulling that will allow you to unlock your stairs. Just being careful because they do have a little bit of weight to them as they come down. Taking a step on inside, first thing you're gonna notice right on your left, you do have your fire extinguisher. This is gonna be just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall here, you do have your touch screen display system. You can turn all the lights on just from this push of the button that are in the living space anyways. And then you have your two slide out buttons. Hitting those buttons out, the slide outs are going to start making their way out. Once fully extended, you will hear the clicks of the motor, and that's when you know to stop. Sometimes the first time you push the button, it will say that it wasn't able to go out, but you just do have to push that button again, then it'll do it the second time. And that's when you know that's fully extended. And then you do have that leveling tab right next to it. If you click leveler, it'll bring you into this. You can manually adjust each jack as you please from this screen here, or you do have the auto level button, and you can scroll just with these buttons here. But that is just for the leveling system, pushing that back button. And then you get to your one awning control, hitting that button extend will bring that one awning out that's on this wall here. Once fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. The control for the second awning, which is on the slide out, just is on the wall here. It does work the same way, just hitting that button extend, it'll make its way out. Once you see the back of the metal tube, you know to stop. So there you go, you see that little flap coming down in the back of that metal tube. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm front to rear on both awnings and pull down on them, and it's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you do like that angle better because it allows for more shade, you could do the same thing with the front arm, just always making sure that you push these arms back to straight when you go to bring it in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And whenever those winds do start picking up, you are just going to want to bring these guys in. That way you don't rip your fabric or bend your arms. And then you do also have a lighting tab here, and it'll let you independently turn lights on. And the buttons are also on their own center push buttons if you were to want to adjust them that way. And if this guy were to not work for whatever reason, inside this panel here, you do have the manual buttons for everything, as well as a few more options. This unit does say it has 2 black tanks, but it does only have 1. But you do have a gray and a galley. That galley is going to be for your kitchen sink. The gray is going to be for your bathroom and your shower. And then you got your battery and your fresh. That goes, and it just goes empty, a third, 2/3, and full for the liquids. And then for the electricity, for the battery, it goes weak, fair, good, and charging. Down below here, you do have your water heater buttons. You can either fire that water heater on electric or gas. Firing it up on gas, hitting that button, the water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light's going to come on. At that point, you do just have to turn this switch off, give it about 10 seconds, and then turn it back on, and it'll try relighting itself. Then you do have your power vent button, so you don't have to climb all the way up there. Pushing that button up, you can turn that vent on, and then just turning that switch off and hitting that button down. We do also sell max air covers to go over those vents. That way you can run those fans, whether it's raining or not. If it is raining, always bring those down because it will allow rain in if you don't have the cover. And then you do just have all your interior light switches again on here, as well as your awning light switch, which you don't have access to on the touch screen. And then just your 2 slide outs. You do also have another slide out in the bedroom. The button for that is in the bedroom, and I'll show you that in a minute. Right on the wall here, you do have your accent light button. Some more storage underneath. And then you do have your breaker and your fuse panel. Whenever breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And whenever you do have a fuse blow, there will be a red indicator light telling you which one has blown. The stove in this unit, as well as the furnace, both do run off propane. We do have this LP detector down by the ground. Propane's heavier than air. That guy will detect it if you start getting to any worrisome levels. If that guy does start going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane at that side unit there and just open up some windows and turn on some vents. On the wall here, you do have your thermostat. Hitting that button once, it is just going to illuminate itself. Hitting it a second time, you're just going to get into your fan option. One thing I'll mention now, for the furnace to run properly, you do have to have this in auto. If you have the fan on low or high, the AC fan will run while the furnace runs. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. And then just pushing that up and down button will cycle you through the different options that you have, low and high, and then auto. Hitting that power button again will bring you into cool. So now the actual air conditioning factor takes into effect, and it starts cooling that air as it starts blowing it out. At any point in time, you can just push those buttons up or down to change your temperature. And then one more time pushes you into furnace. Whenever you do turn your furnace on, when you go to turn it off, it is just going to run for another 3 minutes just as an added safety factor, so it can let itself cool down. You do have motion sensing lights. Whenever it's on option 1, it's going to be just regular on all the time. In the middle is off, and 2 is motion sensing, so it'll only go off whenever it senses any motion. And so taking a step up here, you do get into your bathroom area. Your light switch just is on your right. You do have another fan on here, which turning this up, and then just you have a button right in the corner to turn that fan on, and then you can bring that down. Sink with hot and cold water. You do have your main GFI plug right on the wall here. You got test on the left, reset in the middle. if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd check, just making sure that's not short for whatever reason. You got your toilet and your shower with some storage. You do notice that we have these travel latches on this bathroom door. To get that, unlock that bathroom door, you do just have to unlock that travel latch and it'll allow you to close it. Always making sure that you do have this locked whenever you're traveling. That way it's not sliding back and forth and damaging things. Taking a step inside the bedroom, on your left is going to be the light switch as well as that slide out switch. Pushing that button down, that slide out's going to make its way out. Once that slide out's fully extended, the motor is just going to cut out and you can let off. So there you go, that cut itself out. All the blinds inside the bedroom area work the same way. You're just gonna pull them to where you want them. They're gonna stay. To get them to go back up, you're just pulling down and they'll retract back up. This is gonna be a fire exit for the unit. You're just pulling that red tab, the screen will pop out of place. Then you can take your handle, push it out and hop out of the unit. You got some storage space here. And then inside the closet area, you can open up your main big mirror doors just with these travel latches. Again, always making sure you latch these before you go traveling. That way they're not sliding back and forth and damaging or smashing. And then inside the closet space, fairly large closet, so it does have a light inside. You are pre-plumbed for a washer dryer if you were to want to do so. You can contact our parts department if you're interested in that. They can get you a quote. Just on the side here, you do have a cable satellite outlet, two USB plugs, and a 110 plug if you were to want to put a TV up here. Opening that door, we can come on down into the living space. Right up in your dinette area. All the lights in here are just on their own center push buttons. Turning this light on does turn on a nice accent light right above the slide out. All the blinds inside this living space work the same way as well, but they are different than the ones inside the bedroom. You're just pulling them down and you got two different options you can run them on. You can run them on with those black flaps aligning, which is going to block the sun from coming in. Or you can just pull them down a little bit more and it's more of it'll just fade the sun. So it's not direct sunlight coming in. And then to put them back in, you're just letting them go up. You do have two recliner couches. To get those to recline, you are just pulling that knob. That'll kick out. You have your large sofa over here, which also does fold out into a bed. It just works like any other fold-out bed. You're just popping those top cushions off, pulling on the bottom, it'll pop out, and you got two legs you got to fold out. You got some storage above that. In your entertainment center, which can act as counter space if you were to want to do so. Or you open up this cabinet. Inside here, that is another light for an accent light above the slide out. You got your cable satellite outlet, which, by the way, this little black button over here, which is probably hard to tell in the video, but if you stick your hand back here, you'll be able to feel it. Whenever that green light's on, it's just turning the antenna on the roof on, which also improves radio frequency. And then to get your TV up, you are just pushing that up button, and that TV is going to start making its way up. Once it's fully up, you can just let off that button. Nice way to have some extra counter space if you were to need it. And there you go, there's the TV up. You got your stereo system, which is just like home, minus the fact of having interior and exterior speakers. Your interior speakers are controlled with your zone 1, and then your zone 2 is going to be your exterior speakers outside the unit. And then you do have your fireplace. The controls for that are just push button right at the front here. Hitting that button turns it on. You got your different lights you can scroll through. And then you do have the heater option, which there is a little legislative right up there telling you what you're doing. Every time you hit this button, it's going to start on the highest fan, and hitting that button is just going to turn it down the heat range. Every notch it goes is just a lower heat range. And then hitting this button will set the temperature that you desire. I think it goes all the way up to 100, and its lowest is 41. Hitting that power button will just turn it off. Sometimes it does just run for an extra few seconds just to let itself cool off, like the furnace. Inside the kitchen area, you got some cabinet space up top. You do have this nice microwave, which has your built-in fan, overhead fan. Hitting that button will turn that fan on low, and then you got high and then off again. It does have a light built in as well. To get the oven to light, you are just turning these first two knobs over to high, and they will light as you push them in. It'll activate the sparker. That middle one is going to be for the stove, and they all light up nice. And then to get that stove going, you are just going to pull this down. You also have lights, these blue lights, which are nice accent lights on the left, and on the right you can turn on your oven light. Your pilot is just going to be down through that grate. The way that works is you're just pushing this knob over to the pilot option and holding it in, and it's going to fire that sparker, and you're just watching through that grate for whenever that pilot light starts. And there we go. And sometimes air is allowed to get into this propane system. It takes a few minutes just to clear out all that air out of the lines. Just be patient with it. Once it does get going, it will hold its own. Like I said, sometimes it takes a few minutes just to clear everything out of the lines, but eventually it will hold its own. And there you go. Just holding that button in a few more extra seconds just helps it purge itself a little bit faster, because as you can tell, it is going on and off just until it clears all the air out of the lines. Once all the air is cleared out of the lines, it'll hold its own. And then you just turn it up to your desired temperature, and it fires right on up. And then just turning it back off to turn it off. Add some more cabinet space on the right. Plug in. We're getting to the fridge now, which does have a fridge. This door is always having it closed first, as it has that seal, and then your freezer area. To use this fridge, you are just pushing that on button. It's going to first be on auto, and whenever it is on auto, it is going to first search for AC power. If AC power is taken away, it will automatically switch over to gas. Now, if you do just want that to solely run on one option, you're just hitting that mode button, and you can fire it only on AC, and once AC is taken away, it will turn off. Or you can fire it strictly on gas, in which case it's only going to fire on gas and nothing else. And then you do just have your temperature selection, 1 being cold, 9 being the coldest. And then just hitting that button again will just turn it off. You do have pantry inside here, which does also have a plug-in. And then you just have your island area, which has your sink, hot and cold water, as well as some nice storage. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.